Hey there, champions of health and life. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the YCast, the podcast that's about to revolutionize the way men think about their health and wellness, well-being, and lifestyle. In one conversation at a time. I'm Tony LaRosa. Next to me is my partner, co-founder of Project Y, Rob Davidson. How are you, Rob?
Doing good tonight, Tom.
Awesome.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
We made
Good
it.
to be here. Yes, we did. Yes.
So whether you're tuning in from the gym, your car, juggling the kids at home, you came to the right place. So our first episode, I figured we'd get a little familiar with myself and Rob, and of course the who, what, and why of Project Y. So who are we? I don't know about you, Rob, but this week I've gotten a ton of emails, people asking the same question. Who are these guys? What are they doing? So I think the best way to do this is to just kind of, read what we have on the website. Just be a little more concise, so everybody knows exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, agreed.
So Project Y is a social impact empowerment brand that focuses on reinventing how men approach their health and wellness by empowering them and guiding them on how they can harness their ability to implement knowledge, vitality, and overall health and well-being. You can say that Project Y is more than just a brand, it's a movement dedicated to removing all the stigmas and to challenge the status quo. We believe that equipping men with knowledge and resources, we can inspire a healthier and happier generation. But our mission extends beyond that, as some of you know who've emailed. As our goal to empower men is being fulfilled, Project Y also recognizes the fact that for decades, women have been a vital role in empowering men to improve their health and wellness. And I mean, I know myself, Rob, we both come from big families, East Coast guys.
Yeah.
Constant, mother, sister, all the relationships I've had, women have always, made it a point to go to your doctor appointment.
Make sure you're healthy.
Yeah, make sure you're healthy. Absolutely. I mean, no one takes better care of themselves than women do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of empowering both in this process where we can give back. So with that said, Project Y will simultaneously give back and empower women by donating a percentage of product sales, resources, opportunities, and advocacy to women-based charitable organizations such as breast cancer awareness, prevention and research, victims of domestic abuse, and better access to higher education. So join us on this journey as we explore a wide range of topics from fitness and nutrition to mental health, relationships, and sexual wellness. We'll hear from experts, share inspiring stories, debunk myths, and provide actionable advice to help men live their best life. And speaking of living their best life, I also want to give a shout out to Keith, our producer. Without him, none of this would be possible. So thank you, Keith.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And it's I'm excited. I'm excited for this show, especially just turning 50. I'm looking forward to some advice.
50. You don't look a day over 30.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
50 is the new 30, by the way. So
that's what they say.
I think that's why. Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought we would discuss tonight for our first topic, stress. Something
absolutely something we all go through,
something we could all relate to. And it also our lifestyle really takes an important role when stress is involved. We all have stressful jobs. We have kids, parents, mother-in-laws and father-in-laws, things like that bring stress to our families. So how do we help ourselves get over some of those stress?
Yeah, well, we talk about this all the time, right? Everyone's stressed at some level or another, right? So exercise, sleep is important, but stress causes cortisol increase, right? That's a hormone that's not very good for you, which, at high levels at least.
Yeah.
And that causes lots of issues physically, mentally, as well as potentially from a disease state. So you have to definitely minimize stress. And there's many ways to do that. And we'll probably go into that even on the next couple of episodes with some experts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you mentioned, Tony, sorry, but I'm not sure if you mentioned, and you may have, and I wasn't falling asleep, I promise. But, we're going to have a lot of different experts on, both, doctors, MDs, exercise physiologists, nutritionists, even some holistic wellness people, to really give us a full spectrum of what you can do and what, is proven from clinical research or from, different studies for many different, indications. So I think that's the future of Project Y, in a sense, the YCast.
Yeah, I think a big part of those people that we've built a network with over the past 10 years gave us a lot of the the idea to do something with our knowledge, the network, and so here we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
But back to the stress thing. So so I was looking at this last night, and I found this definition that I thought was just really funny, because when you think of stress, and you went on and you talked about what causes stress, things to alleviate it, but the definition I found for stress is our body's response to any kind of demand or threat. I mean, it's so impactful. Like, it's
simple.
It's very
actually
simple,
a simple, right, concept, right?
To the point.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I think we all feel that,
Right.
right? Something on your shoulders, something that you feel threatened by.
Yeah, absolutely.
That does this, whether it's a job, whether it's your health and wellness, whatever it is. We know that it's coming from one of these aspects.
And what's interesting about that is, probably overwhelmingly, men actually hide their stress more. They don't want to deal with it up front, right?
Yeah.
I think they basically bury those feelings. So that's an issue, right? If you're doing that and you're not really trying to control stress, it just festers and really cascades into something really bad. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I got involved in this and was excited about men's health and really kind of getting the education out there. Because men came to me a lot of times. I spoke at many conferences, as health conferences, wellness conferences, and overwhelmingly, men don't know what to do with their health, both mentally and physically. So I think this is a great conduit for teaching and educating men while empowering women. So,
yeah, I think there's a couple things too. One of the things that stood out to me, well, it impacts me. I think it impacts a lot of guys I know as well. Is another stress factor for men that you don't hear much of is aesthetics. How good do you look?
Right.
I mean, I know it's something that as friends we go way back, so we're always like comparing and your workouts and talking about our eating habits and things like that. But I think for men it's kind of it's not a primary focus for them.
Right.
Where I think that because we're focusing on men's health, it's not only about the your inside, it's about your outside.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Your skin, your weight, and you see people that you go back home and you see people that are the same age as you, if not younger, and it's like not taking care of yourself,
not looking as healthy as they should, right?
Because
they're not taking care of themselves,
right?
Absolutely.
Smoking and all those things, sun damage, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, well, you could define stress, as that emotional component of stress, but then there's environmental stresses too, right?
Yeah,
that cause problems with the skin, like you just said, smoking, alcohol, not exercising. Combined with emotional stress is even worse, because when you increase that stress hormone, we'll call it the cortisol, you're actually going to gain fat, and you're not going to metabolize the best way possible, and you're going to age a lot faster. It's a problem. So. Yeah, stress is something that should be front and center for men's health. It really should, overall.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes to look in the mirror and look good, and I think men need to take more time to make themselves feel better inside.
I agree.
So I think you know, you mentioned sleep, and I got to tell you, you know, it's one of the things that annoys me like no end when every article, every time you talk to someone who's trying to give advice online, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep.
Oh yeah.
You know
absolutely,
what?
Yeah.
I don't know if I know one person
It gets 8 hours.
that gets
sleep?
8 hours of REM sleep, or that, you know, the way they say it is like, okay, well, just get 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
It's not a
easy.
problem.
It's not
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
especially as you get older, you know.
Absolutely.
Um,
Too much on your mind. You can't slow that down. There's lots of
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons we don't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
But absolutely,
Yeah.
not enough time in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you know, being business owners, I mean, we got a lot of responsibility for
Yeah.
people, which is big stress. But even just being a husband or a father, you know,
Sure.
you've got kids, you got to take care of your family.
Yeah.
A lot of that's stressful, but I think sleep does play a huge role. It's how much can you get of it,
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely.
And you know, we've tried all of the supplements.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've
absolutely.
been
They
down
sell
that
everything,
road.
right?
Yeah.
Melatonin. Yeah. Theanine,
Yeah.
and-
But I think at the end of the day, and we say this all the time, you know, everybody's physiology is a little different. So we're all going to acclimate to different supplements and techniques
Yep. Absolutely.
to sleep.
Yeah.
So you got to try different things.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot for, that we'll probably get into in a later show, some modalities that would help with stress,
Yeah.
as far as blue light blocking and things like that right before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Staying off your phone and computer, right?
Yeah.
Before you go to bed. So that's, lowers that stress level, which allows you to sleep a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Being on your computer and phone right before you sleep, you're, just basically is like taking a steroid shot to the mind, right? It's an overdrive because of that. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I know for myself that those of you out there who are into fitness and, workout or exercise, I know that, being on vacation, I mean, you and I both travel a lot.
Sure.
You're on vacation. Sometimes, you can't hit the gym. And if you do, you're only there for a few minutes.
Right.
But I know those days for me, I sleep less.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I don't think it has
new
any
environment sometimes. Too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I don't think it has anything to do with like, oh, I'm sleeping better because I'm tired because I
Right.
worked out.
Right.
I think your body, for me, I feel my body is acclimating better, just overall
Sure.
as far as
Sure.
metabolizing food and, de-stressing the workout
Yeah, absolutely.
helps amazingly for that. I know that for
Yeah,
sure.
working out, some type of physical activity. It doesn't have to be weights. It could be a long walk. It could be It can be riding a bike. It
Yeah.
could be just about anything.
Yeah.
But just get up and move. Right. That's the
Yeah.
key. Especially when you're stressed. It's easier to pull back when you're stressed. You don't want to work out as much when you're stressed. To be honest, I
Right.
mean, you feel like you just want to bowl up in a corner, right? And
Right.
ball. But really, you got to get out there.
But then
and
after you
move.
do it,
Yeah, you feel great.
you feel great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question. It's a lot better.
It would,
No question.
life would be a lot better if we had that feeling before we did
Worked
the
out. Yeah.
workout.
Yeah, exactly. That would definitely be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I noticed too, the one thing for me, recently I've been reading a lot about not eating or drinking anything after a certain time of
Sure.
night,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I know hydration plays an important role with stress, and it's really hard for me lately. I can go all day and not drink anything.
Right.
I'll have like some tea in the morning. The rest of the day, I can go pretty much all day. But as soon as I get home and 6, 7 o'clock at night, I just want to start drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes
drinking
sense. Yeah.
iced tea. Now, let's be clear, not alcohol.
Well, that's a temporary de-stressor.
Temporary de-stressor.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
But water, iced tea,
Yeah.
some flavored drinks. It just helps me.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
when my body needs it.
I agree. Yeah.
And I do wake up once in a while. Do have to go to the bathroom a couple times a night, but I just feel like I'm getting better sleep.
That was a little too much information. No, that's okay.
Well,
Yeah. No, but you're right. But you should drink during the day, right? Even though you don't want to, and you can go without it. It's actually important to hydrate all day.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because you're losing just by breathing, you're losing water content.
Yeah.
So, overall, so yeah, you definitely want to keep hydrating all day. I think that helps. It also helps suppress, again, I'll call it the stress hormone because that's what it is.
right.
It definitely helps suppress that and balance it out. So
Yeah. Outside of the I guess the supplements and health aspect of it is, you don't think a lot of time management,
Sure.
prioritizing things, getting organized. I know the older I've gotten, I've for sure gotten more organized, and it's helped my life. It's definitely given me ability to control my stress
Yeah.
and anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think, the other thing I heard the other day, someone saying, set boundaries and say no.
Yeah. That's key.
That rings so much to
Yeah.
me, is like, because I know you and I are very similar.
Yeah.
Like we always want to please our friends, our family, and do everything we can for everybody.
Yeah.
But sometimes we got to say no at the right time,
Yeah,
because you got to give some peace to yourself and some grace, and you have to be able to replenish.
Yeah.
I guess.
And then you can help more people that way.
And you can help more
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. I saw Papa Joey saying that that's one of his biggest problems, not drinking enough water during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's probably a lot of people's problem. They really don't drink water. They think they're drinking enough water, but a lot of times they're not. Especially if you live in hot climates, like California in the summer, Arizona in the summer, anywhere like that.
Yeah.
New York in the summer, anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
And
gonna
it's just so
dehydrate,
weird
right?
the way my body reacts. And I don't know if you're the same way, but I noticed that I'm just not thirsty during the day.
Right. Yeah. Well, you're busy. Your mind's busy. You're moving. You're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
And then when you're sitting home, pretty much starting to relax a little bit,
Right.
that's when you feel, oh, wait a minute, I need something to drink.
Yeah.
So that's probably why you're just moving.
Yeah.
It's a different feeling.
Yeah. So, I tried cutting back, but I'm just gonna let it roll and see. It's helping my sleep. I definitely tell you that.
Yeah.
So
What do you do for your last meal? What time is that? Hopefully not your last meal, but your last meal of the day. What does that look like for you?
It's usually between 5 and 6:30.
Yeah.
Just depending what time I get home.
Yeah.
And right away, what I've been doing lately is, first thing I'll have when I walk in the door is a salad.
Right.
And I know it's been helping me because it's great to have that fiber.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do that, and then maybe I'll have something after.
Right.
But I try to cut it by 6:30. I'm done.
Yeah. That makes sense, and that's the way to go if you're sleeping like around 11 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can have that 4-hour period before you go to bed, that's ideal. Not everybody can do it.
Right.
It really depends on your your job situation, your family situation.
Exactly.
But definitely helps.
But I noticed too on the stress aspect of that is that when let's say the weekends, because I'm not perfect on the weekends, right? So if I have something at like 8 o'clock at night, and then I'm feeling a little weird, my stomach is not great, as you know.
Yeah.
That also builds stress.
Yeah.
Because then I'm feeling bloated, and I'm feeling uncomfortable,
Sure.
and it makes me stress out.
Yeah.
So I think these little things that we're not thinking of sometimes, changing habits in ways that you wouldn't normally change,
Without doubt. Yeah.
Definitely can help.
It makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
No question.
And then, the other thing is, your social connections and family and support, and, spending quality time and doing the things you love. Because I think at the end of the day, having strong relationships, is beneficial.
Absolutely. I'm guessing type A personalities handle stress differently than type B.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's research that would show that.
Yeah.
And I know you are definitely more of a type A personality, right? So I definitely could see how you would have stress a lot of times.
How would you know?
Yeah.
It's not like
30
we've
years
known each
working.
other for 30,
Yeah.
31 years?
31 years.
31 years. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you definitely have that high, that type A, that high stress component to you. I'm able to balance that a little bit differently.
Because, you are Zen.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
I try to stay Zen. Yeah. And that keeps me going. When you run companies, and this, it's definitely, you have to try to be some type of Zen, even if you're a type A. So.
Yeah. Speaking of our friendship, I have noticed that, since I've known you, your philosophy has always pretty much been the same.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I would say that's
as far as like, you're exercising and things like that. I mean, I know we talk all the time, you're trying these new things to help out. And,
Sure.
but I think overall, like, your philosophy has always been the same.
Yeah, consistency, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the
Yeah.
key in any type of regimen,
Yeah.
whether it's sleep, whether it's management stress, whether it's exercise.
Yeah.
How you eat, your diet, not really diet, your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right? It's about consistency. And yeah, you're right. I've kind of been that way my whole life.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah. And it's something that I think a lot of guys, including myself, in the gym pretty much 4 or 5 days a week,
Absolutely, yeah.
but still feel like I'm trying to find my zen,
That zen, that Yeah.
and then there's things like,
I went to Jedi training, so that's why.
well, I was going to say, which is very similar. I know that the one time in my life when I did take yoga,
Yeah.
it was the best thing I've ever done
Yeah.
for my body. I was in the best shape of my life. Felt healthy.
Yeah.
I was flexible. I just felt great.
Right.
And I still keep telling myself I'm going to go back and do yoga, go back to yoga.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, it goes back to that time management
Yeah. There's not enough.
aspect, and we're going to find a time for that. You want to do some good yoga, you got to spend at least 30 minutes,
That's a
and
lot.
then on top of the other hour workout, and doing all these things. So, I'm really starting to embrace other aspects of managing stress than just
Yeah.
fitness.
Yeah, and that's a good
Yeah.
that's a good thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just going outside, or sitting outside. We're in an office all day.
Yeah.
Me, I walk around outside
Yeah.
multiple times a day. I can't
Yeah.
sit behind a desk. But it does give you that balance. It relaxes you. You're outside with nature. So to me, I think that's a one way to manage some of the stress.
Yeah. Changing environment is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then of course, we haven't mentioned professional help. I mean,
Yeah.
look, everybody has different ways of coping with their stress and, their wellness and different conditions, but by no means are we ruling out, certain people, rely on professional help.
No doubt.
There's amazing people out there that do amazing work. So you
Yeah.
just need to, kind of understand when that time is
Yeah.
to seek that help.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Keith, what do you do for stress for yourself?
I drink. No, just kidding.
Well, that's the temporary solution.
Right,
There's
right,
got to
exactly.
be, because I know you do a lot. You're working all the time, and
Yeah,
you're managing multiple things. So
Honestly, that's probably one of the things that I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
Like Tony said, he's trying to find his zen, his spot.
Yeah.
I guess I'm doing the same thing with stress. I used to play music, which was my stress relief. And, since I've taken on a different position, a much more stressful position, and I don't play music anymore, I haven't found that new thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
definitely need to find something.
Yeah. Because we all have our own ways of dealing with stress. Like he said, he does music usually. He used to, but now he can't do that. So now he's got to find that new niche, I guess, that relaxes him. Yeah.
Let me guess, Keith, you go outside a lot.
I do. I honestly, I
Yeah.
do. If I'm on meetings, I'll walk, like Rob said, I'll walk around outside, and
Yeah.
I try not to spend a lot of time behind the desk if I could help it.
Yeah. Is that a Davidson thing or?
It must be.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, just out of curiosity, what advice do you give people? Because I'm sure people out in the audience, they're like you, Tony. Some people maybe haven't been able to, commit to working out, get into that modality, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you? I mean, you have to be committed. It's a mindset, but how do you break over that hump?
I got to tell you, this has stuck with me forever. But my ex-wife's father, who was a big influence in my life, just in every little bit of everything, and he always would be very pragmatic about how you do things, and he would always say, he's like, look, just before you get up, visualize it. You're laying in bed, you visualize yourself getting up, getting dressed, drinking your coffee or tea, whatever, and then walking out the damn door. I mean, basically that's what it was. And it's like, well, that's not going to help me. Like, okay, I can visualize it. But I remember I started doing that on times that I felt like I didn't want to go. And I would just lay in bed like that and listen to what he was saying. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm visualizing, I'm going to get up. Because at the end of the day, when you get up and you're in your car and you go to the gym or wherever you're going to, outside, walk, whatever, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad.
Yeah. I love that actually. Because I mean, athletes visualize, right?
Yeah.
Before a big game, they're visualizing how they play that game, right? Actors and actresses, they do the same thing. Singers, I mean, they're visualizing themselves out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actually apps too that help with that. If you want, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ways to do that. But
well, it's funny because he was a movie director.
Yeah. See, I mean,
he had this vision that when he spoke, you can visualize it.
Yeah.
So I just thought, to answer your question, Keith, I know that was pretty verbose, but that for me, that it works to this day. I still do that because now, especially, I'm sure a lot of you out there, it's getting colder, and you just want to lay in bed, but it's a lot harder to get out. So I do that daily.
Yeah.
Visualize.
That's good. Yeah. No, likewise, I do too. Even before big meetings, kind of visualize how a deal's going to go.
Yeah.
Or how you want it to go, and you can really. It's interesting. It usually actually works.
Yeah.
I mean, you're able to kind of, strategize in your own mind when you're visualizing. Well, if he says this is what I'll say, or if she says this, So I do like that. I think that's a really, really key point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, the other thing too is the symptoms. I think we all have to be a little more keen on and aware of, the physical symptoms that are happening to you to be able to overcome them.
Yeah.
Because I think if you get too far down the line and you're not paying attention to these things.
Yeah. Definitely.
That's where it can get, you start compounding these symptoms and, it's hopeless.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I notice myself when, if I'm gaining a couple pounds that I don't want, or I feel like I'm very regimented.
Yeah.
With my routine.
Yeah, you are. Absolutely.
So I know when one Jenga piece is out of place.
Yeah.
I know, okay, I got to adjust. And that's not everybody. Everybody doesn't have that, way of life. But I think we all have to find a way to, impose these things on ourselves.
Yeah. And listening, I mean, you bring up a great point, just listening to your body overall, right? I mean, your body does tell you.
Yeah.
Not everybody can hear it, but your body tells you. And, the more you get in tuned with that, the better off you'll be by recognizing those symptoms and by recognizing some of the issues. But,
yeah. So the other thing is, I mentioned yoga, but I don't meditate. But I know like these things out there, meditation, and then there's some other techniques that people are using today, and I couldn't even recite them. I forget what they are, but a lot of these things help people, and you should, be open to trying these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they really do reduce stress in many ways. And, everybody's not going to want to go into a gym and lift dumbbells.
Right.
Right. But if you can get to a point where it's like an environment, or, you're listening to music, and I found that's the other thing too. I found like such a great motivator for me as a tool is podcasts now.
Yeah, listening to podcasts.
Yeah, in the morning. It's either it's either a podcast or I'm literally listening to an audiobook.
Right. That's absolutely.
And I'm not a big reader because I get very tired when I read.
Right.
But I've read like 4 books in a month.
Wow. Okay.
I listened.
You listen to 4 books. Yeah. But that's okay. That's fast.
Yeah. Because if I'm spending an hour and a half in the gym,
true, you're gonna listen to a book.
I got that on constantly, and then I notice too, like when I'm in the car, I'll have it on,
right?
And then even sometimes at home, like if I'm working, I'll just put it on, because I can multitask, But I know that's that's enabled me to get to the next level in my workouts or
right. And you think that diminishes some of the stress as well, I'm assuming.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because Bios the book, you said that you believe more active the mind, the more stress you find. I like that, by the way.
Right.
I might use that as a tagline. But that's true. I mean, I know that for a fact because my mind, and you know this, Tony, my mind doesn't stop. It keeps going. But when you do include things that, learning tools and, podcast listening or reading a book, I do like to read.
Yeah.
Reading a book, you get lost in that a little bit, and it does calm you down because you're not thinking about the everyday crap.
Right.
That, you
that's the key.
So you're forcing yourself out of that thought process and that streamlined approach. So
keeping your mind busy is the key, I think, for anyone can relate to that.
Absolutely.
I do want to bring up one point. Music is incredibly therapeutic.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of studies over the years that how music associates with health. And, I know what I started doing when I can't fall asleep is I'll turn on some massage music or nature sounds or something like that. And I'll just let it play in the background. And it's very, very calming because I think, Rob, a lot of the population has the problem you said is your brain's constantly going. And when it's time to go to sleep, you can't turn your brain off. Yeah, and I think that's the most difficult thing to do, especially in the society we live in today.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. That's why I use white noise at night. Just to go to sleep. I mean, I can't really, because there's a rhythm in it, believe it or not, that you can pick up. It's very interesting.
Well, I'll tell you, I moved a bunch of different times living in Los Angeles over the past 30 years. And I could tell you there are times where actually right now where I live, I could still hear the freeway, the 101.
Right.
Faint, but it's, I know it's going to sound crazy, but it's almost like the ocean.
Yeah. So it's cathartic.
Yeah. It's this continuous noise.
Yeah.
It's not obtrusive and it's just like I got the window open.
Yeah.
And it puts me to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was looking, I found those techniques I was mentioning earlier that I couldn't remember. So I don't know if any of you guys out there, like time blocking. That's one. And the other one is called the Pomodoro technique. Oh, another one.
Pomodoro technique.
Pomodoro technique. Okay. Yeah. And the other one is the Eisenhower matrix.
The matrix.
Yeah.
Okay. What is that?
So these can help
them
you
one by one. What is the Pomodoro technique?
I don't know. I just have the names of them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that you have homework tonight, Rob. But the Eisenhower matrix can help you organize your time and increase productivity.
Right.
I guess actually all of them
kind of time management in a way.
Yeah.
Blocking time sounds interesting.
Yeah. So, if you
how about blocking out people?
Yeah.
That probably works too.
Yeah. Well, that goes along with the social connection
that
we were talking about earlier is like not only saying no, but sometimes you have to cut people off.
Right.
I mean, not forever, but you have to draw a line.
Well, yeah, I agree. Let's face it, there's what I call energy vampires, right?
Yeah.
There's energy givers and there's energy takers. I call them energy vampires, really. Which sometimes is very appropriate, by the way. Because you're so drained after dealing with them, right? So you have no more energy left for yourself and you're stressed. So yeah, I think that's true. Like picking and choosing at certain points who you want to be around. Because sometimes you can deal with an energy vampire, but sometimes you can't. And don't force yourself to do that at that point, right?
Yeah.
For lack of better terms, right?
Right.
So I think, managing the people you deal with is very important.
Yeah, I think the main thing, the sum of those parts is taking care of yourself, looking after yourself, really.
Yeah,
because if you need to step away from a situation or a conversation or a person, you have to do it. And that leads into other things of you work out and you do these things, but maybe that's not something fun for people. Maybe it's something they have to do.
Right.
But we also have to remember doing stuff we enjoy, to keep the positivity in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I know I can speak for you too. Like you and I both love traveling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's something that I would say is it's the most cathartic thing for me.
Yeah.
As much, and you've been in airports, hectic airports. You've been in congested cities, and And all of
Very
that
nice.
stuff, as bad as that is, when you're in LA and you're doing, you're like, oh, screw this. I
You're
gotta
right.
get the heck out
Trying
of
to
here.
be somewhere else.
But when you're somewhere else,
Yeah.
it's different.
Yeah.
You know, you're dealing with education, you're dealing with just autonomy and
Right.
just having the ability to, you know, span, I like to say.
Yeah,
Span your wings
absolutely.
kind of thing.
No, expand. Yeah, absolutely. No
So I
question.
think like, look, I mean, I know I've been in long-term relationships. I've been married before. So I know where, you know, these stresses come in, and it's like, we all can do it. So I
Yeah.
want everybody out there to know that, like, we're not just talking like, oh, just do it. Like the guy that says, get
Oh,
8
no, it's
hours
not
sleep,
easy. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we all have to have these hard conversations and say to ourselves, like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to visualize it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. I noticed myself too. The one thing is, and you mentioned apps before.
Yeah.
I just downloaded this fitness app.
Okay.
And I would say at first I didn't think it was going to motivate me. I'm not looking for motivation, but I'm looking for new techniques and things just to try hit different
Sure.
muscle patterns and things like that.
Yep.
But I do notice I've been using it for a couple of days now, and it's actually, you know, like, oh, I got to turn my app on, and a lot of that stuff is motivating.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it pushes you to,
And it takes you out of, you know, although you're still in a routine, you're still working out at the same times or whatever.
Yeah.
It takes away the routine of the workout itself if you're switching that, you know, the way you work out.
Right.
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 You know, so routine's good, but you don't want it to become mundane and you get bored, you know, so you gotta stay on top of those switches, right?
Yeah.
Keep it dynamic, actually, is really what we're saying. So
yeah. And speaking of that, Keith, I noticed too, like, because, you know, we go a few years at a time without seeing each other, but
Right.
you have put on a lot of muscle. I know last time I saw you, I was kind of joking with you, but I mean,
don't tell him that. It's gonna go to his
Let's
head.
go to my head.
Now we're
Yeah.
in trouble.
I
I
thought there was only one in the family, but I guess there's two.
No, I appreciate that. No, I've been working at it. It's just it's hard to develop that that routine, you know.
Yeah.
I did find a definition of the Pomodoro technique. If you're interested.
Okay.
So it's a time management method based on 25-minute stretches of focused work broken by 5-minute breaks. Longer
Okay.
breaks, typically 15 to 30 minutes, are taken after 4 consecutive work intervals. So
Right.
That's interesting.
I think I almost do that. I don't know.
Well, especially when you're, you know, I've been in enough relationships to know that, like, you know, maybe you're looking out for your significant other as far as, oh, you got this appointment or you got to do this. But when you're single, you really have to get your, you know,
Step it up.
your ducks in a row.
You got to step it up a little bit.
And
Tell me how it is.
Yeah. Well, you know, you have to really pay attention to, you know, implementing and remembering things that are going to help you de-stress or keep you on track, because, you know, it's aiding in, okay, if I remember my meetings and, oh, I feel good about that, I'm you know, checking things off one by one.
Yeah, being proactive helps with stress, right?
Yeah.
When problems come up or you're stressed about something, sitting there and stressing about it never really helps.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But being proactive about the issue as much as possible, and it's not easy, by the way. So I get that.
Yeah.
But trying to be as proactive as possible, knowing you're doing the best you can, does help relieve some of that stress, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, at least that's from my perspective and from my experience. You know, I can get stressed, but then I'll think about, okay, how do I solve this?
Yeah.
And then try to take those action steps. For me, that always makes me feel better about it.
Yeah, you've always been very methodical about that stuff, and I will say, why am I complimenting you so much?
I don't know. I'm writing this down this date though, so yeah.
I will say that you know, part of what I love about our friendship is, you know, I'm more the neurotic one, you know, because you're always.
Thank God you said that, and I didn't.
Yeah,
okay.
But no, I've seen you in situations like, I know you have that button.
Yeah.
No one wants to see that button.
Yeah.
But I know you have that button, but I know like 95% of the time that I've known you, you're able to control that,
right.
You know? Right. And I think you and I were having this conversation the other day is, I made a comment about something that, like, oh, you know, 5 years ago, I would have been so mad. And you're like, yeah, you're growing up, Tone. I'm 53, Rob, but thanks. I appreciate that.
It was a proud moment for me.
It's a proud moment. Yeah. It's like sending your kid to college.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, that is a benefit to have people in our lives who, you know, calm us and base us in a sense. Right.
Absolutely.
so I appreciate that. And I think, I always thought to myself, as I get older, things are going to get worse, but,
and they're getting better.
and they're
See
getting
that?
better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm much calmer.
Yeah. Well, that takes work though. You worked at it. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's what we're trying to say. You got to work at things. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to have a good family and friends around you. You know, my son is, you know, pretty calm, and
Yeah.
I have to set a good example for him because he knows I can be a hothead.
Yes. Yes.
I used to coach him. And that's another thing too I wanted to bring up. You know, I know you and I have both coached many teams over the years.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
I know that you're still doing that with the football team now. But I know, speaking for myself, that it's a big stress release
Yeah,
for me.
absolutely.
As amped up as I get on the field
Yeah.
and on the court, it has the opposite effect when I walk out.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of that's, you know, and I think we're going to touch on this as we go through the podcast,
Yeah.
you know, in the series. But just sometimes giving back. I mean, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We've always been mission oriented with everything we do in health and wellness.
Yeah.
In everything we do, actually. And just giving back, for me, that's cathartic. That's
Yeah.
that. I mean, for me, that relieves more stress than anything, because you know you're helping people. I don't know, for me, not everybody maybe.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a great way to de-stress, knowing that I'm giving somebody or helping people or making a difference, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives you it makes you happy.
Yeah.
I feel better about that, right?
Yeah.
That, you know, and maybe that is a selfish component, but it works, right?
Yeah.
For us. So
No, I think, you know, there could be a fine line there, but I do think there's a big difference, because, you know, when you receive something, I'm a bad receiver.
right, same.
I hate when
Love it.
people give me gifts and make a big deal. Oh, he's doing this, or, you know, I don't want
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
You know, just let me
Me too.
rot away and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But I will say that that feeling you get when, you know, someone gives you something and it comes from their heart and, like,
Right.
you know, makes you feel good, you want to reciprocate,
Absolutely.
you know, right
Yeah.
away. It's
Yeah.
like I get something like, oh, what am I going to get them now?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like that neurotic.
That's why it's nice to give without, you know, just giving.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not expecting anything back.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
to me
Right.
the best, right?
Right.
It's more
Yeah.
important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm bringing back your Christmas gift. You know, that's it. Yeah. But no, for example, you said you're a bad giver. I mean, a receiver, right?
Bad receiver. Yeah.
And you know, last night I went out to dinner with a couple of doctors, and you know, we had a good time, and you know, basically just met them, and you know, they were nice people, and they picked up the check, and you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
You know, it just
Yeah.
drives me nuts,
Yeah.
because I'm
Right.
always the one that I'm
Fighting.
like, I want to.
Yeah.
You and I fight over the check,
Yeah.
right? So I don't ever want somebody buying me dinner. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
Which is bad. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a bad thing. That's a stressor for me.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel good when I pay for the dinner. You know,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah. That is
but
a big,
I lost that bet. But, you know.
but, you know, that is a big, I guess, geography thing in life where, you know, we grew up on the East Coast. And
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
all of our
Definitely.
fathers are, you know, fighting for the check.
it's a
And, you know, when I
cultural-
came to Los Angeles, it was like I was going broke when I first came out here. I'm like, where's all my tip money? You know,
Right. Right.
I used to bartend.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure it out, but I realized that, like, I'm the only one who's buying drinks.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. So, you know, that's the other thing too. As you get older, you start getting wiser. And I guess the key is, you know, we always use that terminology as, you know, your circle is getting
Yeah.
smaller
Yeah,
and smaller and
yeah.
smaller.
Well, you recognize, you know.
Because you want to be around the people that, you know, you're not looking for reciprocity, but you want to be around people that just innately do that.
Yeah. That you feed off of that.
'cause you feel
motivate you. Yeah. Yeah.
You feel it.
All the above.
And by the way, those are de-stressors.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
all that
makes sense,
stuff.
yeah. Absolutely.
Being able to be around people, you know, that help that cause.
Yep.
I think another topic we should, well, not topic, but I guess another aspect of this topic is we should discuss is like work environment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because both of us are, you know, managing people, and, you know, we've been the employee, we've been the employer. And I know that it is very important to be able to accommodate, you know.
Absolutely.
and you want, people that are working with you to have that same energy, to have that same, stress level, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say.
And that's one of the hardest things to do, right? When
Yeah.
you're trying to build a team or individuals around you. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we always try to, I know myself, like if I'm in a bad mood and I'm around the guys in production, or, I'm always trying to like take, count to 10, take that 10 seconds and just go into the room.
Yes.
A different person.
Yeah.
If you
Makes
can.
sense. Yeah.
Because, we have a really good environment.
Yeah.
Like,
great environment.
Everybody is super happy, and,
you create that environment.
Yeah.
Right, that you want to work in. Absolutely.
And that I think bridges the aspect of, going home with the stresses of, you're responsible for all these people.
Yeah.
But knowing everybody is happy and in a good environment, that also helps.
Yeah. Yeah. And not everybody gets to build that environment.
Right.
Though, right. Some people, they're going to a place that already has a culture
Yeah.
in a work environment.
Right.
They already have a culture. They got to deal with the culture. They got to acclimate to that culture. Right. And that's not always easy. It just depends what that culture is. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wanted to go back to, something we talked about earlier, because I made a note here about, aesthetics, because I do think that's something that's so underestimated when people, when you're talking about health and wellness and even stress.
Yeah.
So by the way, for those of you who don't know, because we've been posting a lot, so I don't know what anyone has seen or not, but we will be very soon, in the next 30 days, we'll be launching our men's skincare line, where we'll have some serums and some moisturizing creams, and we have shampoo. So these things are being made to inspire men to kind of do what we were talking earlier, how women, take care of themselves.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Absolutely.
They're out there, buying the best products, trying new products, researching these things, utilizing the tools they have at their disposal to make themselves feel good. And I think that's the best thing is you can say is, whether, you feel like you don't look your best, you may feel your best. That's key.
Right.
That changes your mindset.
Well, yeah. And we got into that because of men asking us, right? Saying, well, how do we take care of nobody tells us, how do we take care of our skin?
Right.
What do we do? What supplements should we take? Right.
Right.
What should we do to stay healthy and look good?
Yeah.
And really, there's really not a lot out there, right? For men. There really isn't.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you and I, drove this and got involved in this. And that's kind of at the forefront. Not just looks, it's really about how you feel. Right?
Yeah.
And health.
Yeah.
But that they all come together and play together because everyone wants to look good if they can. Right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, we did notice early on that the men's skincare industry was in dire need of education and quite frankly, just good products.
I was going to say good products. There's not a lot of good products out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, and then you take the conversations that we've had over the past decade with, doctors and people that we've worked with in the health services profession, the network that we've built. It's like, and everyone keeps saying, like, you guys should do more of this, that's kind of what spun off Project Y.
Absolutely.
But I think all these things play and interact with each other where, you don't be afraid to write a list of these things and attack one by one as you can, as the day goes on.
Yep. I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah. I don't, because there's a lot of men that don't do any skincare regimen at all. Right. Whatever it is, face cream, lotion or whatever, they don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Keith, do you do anything? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do. I
right,
use some face and eye serum.
Okay. There you go.
I think one of the big things too for people is it really is a lifestyle change, right? Because it's not something you do for a week and then don't do it again for another 6 months. It really has to be, and I think men typically tend to be horrible at that. And I think that's one of the things that, people need to understand, whether it's exercise, whether it's diet, whether it's, products that you use, it truly is a lifestyle change.
Oh, without a doubt. Absolutely. It's definitely a lifestyle change. No question about it. And like you said, you have to learn a new routine, right? And, the sooner you do it, the better though. If you're young and you just start, it's a lot easier. It's harder when you get to, 50 and above to start a new routine. But it takes effort, right?
Yeah. I think, when it comes to, routines, I think we can all learn from, women. So,
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
the beginning of the intro, when we started tonight, I did mention about, challenging the status quo and the stigmas that go along with men's health.
Yep. Absolutely.
And we know, because we are opening a compound pharmacy we're working on. So we know that a lot of the treatments out there now, like let's just say like HRT, hair replacement therapy, we know a lot of guys who want it, need it,
but
and
can't get it, or don't go to the doctors.
They won't do it,
or they just won't do it
because they're ashamed.
Yeah. No.
And I think that's a big part of what we want to bring or we want to message in this for Project Y, is to let guys know that you're not alone. We share that those needs and those wants, and we want to bridge that gap between like, I shouldn't be doing this, to you do it, you need to do it. Because back to the women do it. What they need, they just do, and they don't ask questions. And we need to be more like that,
and more proactive, right? Staying on top of it. Teaching men what to look for and to be proactive is key. Because a lot of men end up, not have to go to doctors, and they have to get a prescription later, or they got to do something drastic because they did not listen to their bodies. They did not, they didn't seek, the right information or help because they're embarrassed about it. Good point. So you're right. And that's one of the drivers behind the YCast. So.
Yeah. And I think even what Keith said earlier about music, it's another gateway to feeling better. And I mean, like turning on your whatever you call them today, your phone with your music. I was going to say Walkman.
The Walkman. Yeah, that was a long time ago, Tony. I don't think they have that. But okay.
But just turning that on. I mean, I would say, like, I get sometimes when I'm on the plane, like I'll create like a playlist.
Sure.
And I have all these playlists on my phone now. So it adds a little excitement of like, oh, cool, I get to listen to this now. And just the aspect of implementing yourself into that world. And but I agree with you, Keith. Music for me is such a just a great thing, for my wellness. I know that.
Yeah, it's huge.
I'm sure it's huge for a lot of people. That's kind of why I sing in the shower. Make sure Actually, no one wants to hear me sing. So, but yeah, I get that. Music definitely can be calming and great stress relief.
Yeah. Well, if anyone has any questions,
you want to talk a little bit about the next episode too, and kind of drive into those points.
Yeah.
People can ask questions, but
yeah. Well, I think we're planning on. By the way, thank you for everyone that's on listening. We're planning on 2 Wednesdays from now coming back on. We're gonna post it. So you guys know. We just have one conflict we have to look for in the next day or two, and we'll know. So we'll schedule that. But looks like we're going to do Wednesdays going forward.
It'll be Wednesdays going forward.
And we're pretty sure it's going to be the next.
We'll have a special guest on the next show.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. We are going to have guests. You're not stuck with Rob and I all the time. But we just thought this episode would be good for you to get a little familiar with us and understand, more about Project Y. Like I said, we will be donating proceeds and resources that we have available from product merchandise and the skincare products that we'll be launching. So the first phase of our launch is going to be the skincare. Second phase will be supplements. We're going to be doing some great creatine gummies and just some popular, great tasting, healthy, efficacious products that we're going to launch. And then our third phase will be the compound pharmacy coming down the line. So just to give you guys an a little idea what's happening with us in the future. The website is up. We're still making tweaks, so be patient with us. It's www.projectynow.com. You can check that out. There are products on there, but they're not for sale yet. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. If you're following us on LinkedIn or Instagram, if you guys can, please go to our Instagram, Project Y Now, as well. And then obviously our YouTube channel is at the Ycast. We are on TikTok. We will be doing some short videos on TikTok for you guys to see some highlights of the podcast. That's Project Y Now as well. A lot of you follow us on LinkedIn already, Project Y Now, and then Facebook is Project Y.
Yeah.
So anyone out there, love to give us a like or subscribe. YouTube, we really appreciate it. We want to grow this, as big as we can to, hit the masses, educate and help as much people. And we want to be educated. I mean, there's a lot we need to learn, but we want to share topics. We want to share advice, and we just really want to help each other.
Yep.
So
well said. And we will have lots of guests to learn from, top doctors, like I said, exercise physiologists, nutritionists, psychologists, for Tony. And then, so we'll have a pretty broad, group of groups helping us and navigating lots of different issues in men's health and health in general. So I think it's gonna be fun. Yeah,
we have just on our companies, we have advisory boards with medical professionals that will be on frequently. So want to thank everybody for hopping on tonight and listening and subscribing. Really appreciate it. Your comments are valuable. So if you guys have any ideas or criticism, we'd love to hear it. We just want to get better, and we want to be able to grow the community and help as many people as we can.
Yep.
So,
and I'll add to that by saying, if anybody in the audience knows somebody who could benefit from any of this information, absolutely share the YouTube channel and get them to start watching.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that should do it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Rob. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Look for us on LinkedIn, Instagram. We'll be announcing the next episode. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Keith.
Hey.